Hello there. Welcome to the Maker Manager Money podcast, a podcast about entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, founders, business owners, and business partnerships, from startups to stay-ups, to inspire entrepreneurs to keep going and future entrepreneurs to just start. My name is Kyle Knowles, and today's episode is being recorded at the Nomad Works on Broadway in New York City, New York. It's a Saturday morning, and I'm in a conference room, and today's guest is Zach Yadegari, founder and CEO of TotallyScience.co, a gaming website that bypasses the security protocols of school-issued Chromebooks. The site has attracted over 3 million visitors, with over 300,000 monthly visitors, and features games including Minecraft, Monkey Mart, and Geometry Dash. In addition to being the founder and CEO, Zach led the development, go-to-market strategy, and Google AdSense website monetization for TotallyScience.co. Zach, welcome to the Maker Manager Money podcast.
Happy to be here.
How old were you when you built TotallyScience.co?
When I first started it, I was in 8th grade. I was 14, and I was just sitting in one of my classes.
Okay. And so what gave you the idea to start Totally Science?
The idea originally came, I was just looking around my classroom. It was the first year in which schools were letting people bring their laptops to school because of COVID. And people were playing games in school, abusing the rules because it was new. No, the schools didn't really have many bypassers or ways to block the websites. And so people were going on different game websites, and I saw a lot of people had different tabs open with different games on each tab and different websites with each game. And so I decided it would be much better if there was one website that was a hub for all of these games to play on. And I thought I could easily make that, just take all the other games that are on these other websites, put it on one, and people are going to use my website. And the reason I wanted to do that was just to get people in my school using my website. I thought it would be pretty cool, and it would be cool to have people in my school using my website.
Awesome. So how long did it take you to build the site?
The original site took me probably just a few days. It was very simple. It was just a basic layout with games on it, nothing fancy at all.
Okay. And then, so how did you learn how to code to build the site?
So learning to code, I started when I was 7 years old. I wanted to learn how to make games. And so from there, I spent most of my time just making games. I made an app, and then eventually I got into website development from there. So website development is what I did, learning HTML, JavaScript, CSS. Those languages came in, and I used those to build the first version of the gaming website.
Okay. So what gave you the inspiration to call it Totally Science?
So the reason I call it Totally Science is to get around the school blockers. The school blockers go of filter moderation. If a website has games like coolgames.com, it's going to see games, it's going to block the website. So by calling it Totally Science, the school picks it up as an educational website, and so because it thinks it's educational, it's not going to block it, and people can use it in school.
But totally sounds just very West Coast.
Yeah, well, it's like supposed to be sarcastic. Like, it's totally science, definitely science.
So how old are you now?
Right now, I'm 16.
Amazing. CEO, founder, TotallyScience.co at 16 years old. So you build this site, the first version, you're 14, you're in... Did you say 8th grade?
8th grade.
Okay, you're in 8th grade. How do you get the word out that you built this site, and how do you start attracting visitors?
So originally I did start just spreading it through my classroom, and then from there it would spread person to person in my school. With these websites in the school, it's pretty easy to get it to spread, just like how rumors spread in high schools. These gaming websites can spread just as fast. And so I showed it to a few of my friends, they showed it to more people, and eventually a lot of people in the school were using it. And then one day in class, Like, because one school, it's like 200 kids that were using it. That's not going to be anything crazy. But one day in my coding class, I finished my project early because I already knew how to code. Everyone else was still like learning. They were beginners. But I was just bored in the class. I decided to make a TikTok. So I made a TikTok of just the website. It was a very simple video. I put just a caption. I made this website, well, bored in school, check it out. Totally science. And then that video surprisingly got around 50,000 views right off the bat. And that started getting a few thousand people using the website every month. So that was pretty good. And I thought it was cool that people were using it, but I didn't expect it to go much further than that. But then later down the line, a few months after, I posted another TikTok, and that TikTok got 1 million views. And so from there, the website just started growing faster and faster. And to keep up with all the growth, I was improving the website constantly. And that's when I really started focusing more on making it better and changing it from just a simple design of just some games that I just scrapped together in my 8th grade classroom to actually a well-designed and more functional website.
And how long after you launched the site was this TikTok and kind of going viral on TikTok with 1 million views? How long from the first version of the site to that TikTok?
So the first version of the site, it was pretty early in the school year. And then the TikTok I posted late in the school year, late in the 8th grade school year. And then it was summertime, so I didn't do anything. But then back in September in 9th grade, there was this game that was really popular called Retro Bowl. And so Retro Bowl is a game that it's like a little football pixel game on phones, but there's also versions on computers. And on TikTok, it was trending, people trying to play it at school. And so one of my friends came up to me and he told me that I should put it on the website, I should make a TikTok. It was like, I promise it's going to go viral if you do this. And so I did it, and it did go viral. That video got the 1 million views, and that brought people, that specific game, Retro Bowl, brought so many people to the website. So that's really how it got started being popular on Block Games website.
So I know that hosting providers basically, the more traffic you get, the more they charge you, like if you're on AWS or anything like that, Amazon Web Services. So what happened? Like, where were you hosting this? And then did it crash? Did anything happen? Or were you with a hosting provider that was able to scale with the growth of the site?
Yes. So the website has crashed multiple times. It's been down. My account has been like almost banned because of so much traffic and using all of their resources in the servers, it was slowing down their servers for other people. So I've had to upgrade my servers and switch plans. I was using Hostinger originally, and that it was on a shared server, so with a lot of people. And for the database calls, it's like every time I wanted to make a call, it would take up some of the resources on that server. And since it was shared, if I'm doing a lot of calls, it's going to slow it down for everyone. So they have to limit the amount for each person. And so implementing certain features in the website, like at one point, there was a real-time user counter and a chat, both of those. So the chat and the real-time user counter, it's almost every few seconds, it's going to send a request to the database. And so since there were thousands of people sending requests every second, they had to shut down the website because it was slowing down other people's websites, slowing down their servers. And so those days I would just stay during my lunch period in school. I would be freaking out, like calling their customer service and trying to fix the issues. That happened several times.
And so what happened eventually? Did you have to move hosting providers or?
So for those stuff, we had to slow down the amount of requests we were making. We also eventually we switched over out of Hostinger. So temporarily we had to just stop with the requests, and then we switched over. So now we're hosting on a virtual private server. So it's our own private thing now. We're not using any shared plans.
Okay. So you host your own server?
No, it's still with a cloud service,
okay.
But it's just upgraded. It's a dedicated server for us.
Right. That's awesome. So going back to being 7 years old and learning how to code, how did you go about learning how to code? Do you have someone in the family that's a programmer? How did you learn?
So the reason I learned was because me and my sister, we were just obsessed with video games, and we wanted to learn how to make video games too. So we signed up for a camp one summer, and since doing that, I've just loved programming ever since. Like, I got really into it that summer, started making games. I loved making games for the next few years. I wanted to be a game developer in my future. I was always thinking I would like make a game, and then I was thinking that would be what makes me like I wanted to be rich from making a game. That was my goal when I was a little kid.
Okay. So are any of your games on Totally Science?
No, none of my games are on Totally Science. I never made any games that were that good that I would put it on the website. But I made some that I've put on the App Store. So that was cool to do when I was younger.
That's awesome. So does your sister program?
She stopped after a few years. She wasn't as into it as I was.
Okay. And do you still have aspirations to be a gamer, like as far as like making games and going to school for that and then trying to create a game and sell that? Or do you have different aspirations?
That's always what my plan was, but then it switched when I started getting into website development, especially this website, because I developed a lot of skills outside just game creation into more of programming, just applications and things that are useful. And so now I don't want to make games. I want to build a platform, some kind of platform that has, when users are posting content, forgot what the term for that is, but something like a social media platform, not necessarily social media, but where I build a platform and then other people post onto it, and like the users are driving more user engagement themselves.
So UGC, user generated content.
I guess that would be the term.
I think that's the term. I'm not 100% sure. So just like a social media platform or something where you gain more traffic by other people making content for the site.
Something like that.
Okay. That's really cool. So I want to just geek out just a little bit more on learning how to code. You went to a boot camp, right? And then
sure.
What other, like, tell me, pretend that I want to learn how to code. Like, where would I go and what would I do to learn how to code?
Well, for me personally, after the summer camp mostly just drove the interest, but where I really learned how to code, most of what I know, was just from YouTube. I would just watch YouTube videos all day on how to program different things. When I was really into game development, I would be watching all these different YouTubers who were programming games. And then when I got into other stuff, you could always find videos like how to make a website for beginners, how to do this effect in HTML, JavaScript, anything you want to learn, there's always YouTube videos. So it's a free resource that I've always used.
Okay. And if you were going to learn how to code, you were brand new to learning how to code, what language would you choose?
If I was completely brand new, I would start with Python. I think Python is one of the easiest languages to understand how to read the code. And it's something that is pretty powerful. NASA uses Python.
Right. It's used for a lot, especially machine learning and things like that as well.
Yeah, with AI.
Yeah. Okay. So you've created this website. It's version 1. From day 1, did you monetize it or did that come later?
So day 1, it was not monetized. Even when I started getting hundreds of thousands of people every day using the website, that's when I realized I should monetize it, but I had no idea what to expect because I never monetized a website before. But I applied for Google AdSense in about January. It was after I got all the traffic. I applied and it took like a week for me to get everything set up. There's a big process involved with it. Like I had to file for an LLC, which I had no idea what that meant at the time. But so now I have one and I had to set up business accounts, bank accounts. But then after getting everything set up, I was actually very surprised to find out that you could actually make good money from websites.
Did it initially pay back all the costs that you had going into it, or like how soon were you like in the black?
The initial cost for this website, it was about, if I remember correctly, only maybe a few $100s for the beginning, just hosting the website. I think there was at one point, we went in like $1,000 just buying a bunch of different domains for the website and getting a bunch of different stuff, experimenting. But it was paid back pretty soon after just monetizing.
That's awesome. So I've gone through your site. I haven't signed up to be a user yet, but when you talk about numbers, you have 300,000 visitors per month, right? Visiting totallyscience.co. And so how many are registered users are visiting?
So there are about 100,000 accounts or 150,000 accounts that have been created on Totally Science.
That's incredible. Do you, so can people play games without registering?
Yes, anyone can play games without registering. The only thing you need that comes with registering, it lets you like games, pin games, do stuff like submit high scores, and just other features that are small, but you could still play games and access the website without one.
Okay, and I noticed you have a shop.
Yes.
Okay, so what percentage of your revenues comes from the shop compared to AdSense and the ads?
So the shop doesn't actually make any real money. What it does, the users can earn points from playing on the website. Every day they come back, they get more points, and they could spend those points in the shop. You could unlock different avatars, and the avatars, right now that's something we're working on, making them have more functionality, but currently we just added last week a chat feature with all of the games. And so the avatar shows up next to your name in the chat.
Okay, so if you're playing a game, there is a chat feature for every game that you're playing.
Yes.
On the site.
Yes.
Okay. And how many games are on totallyscience.co?
I haven't counted in a while, but there's definitely a few hundred games.
And I noticed, because I've seen your TikToks and awesome. I was just astounded at the numbers, because I'm seeing some of them that say 300 or whatever views, and then you get to the one that's like 50,000, and then there's one that's 1.3 million or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's the one you were talking about that went viral early on. I think it was only your second TikTok.
Second TikTok.
Looking through the comments, I'm seeing a lot of people say, hey, add this game, do this, do that, kind of giving you kind of voice of customer, product feedback. How do you then, like when you're building it what you want and what you like, what was that transition like, taking, user feedback, and how do you manage that feedback and prioritize kind of a list of features to work on next?
Yeah, so that was actually a challenge. Originally, we posted on the website. We had a place where users can submit games too, besides the TikTok comments, and it was a Google form. But the Google form, it broke like the limit of how many responses you can have and have them like displayed in Google, because we had hundreds of thousands of responses. And so it was all put in an Excel sheet from Google. They wouldn't display their data themselves. And we had no idea what to do with that data. Also, there were so many typos in it. So we just started over, we scrapped that. And what we've been doing is reading TikTok comments, going through. Another way we try to market is by looking at the comments, finding a game, and then replying to that comment with a video saying, we just added this game, and then everyone interested in that game will see it and see that it was added. But it's hard to get all the games people want, because a lot of games, people will comment, add Fortnite, but you can't add Fortnite to a website. So what we try to get just as many games as we can. So as much as we would like to get all the games that people are suggesting, it's hard because the games that we put on the website, we find them online, open source. So we find the code out there already. I guess however the way other people are getting the code, I don't know. But I find the code that other people are posting online and I take it. So a lot of them are replications of games made by professional companies. And it's a little, I guess, sketchy, like the way we're getting the games. but it all works out, it seems. I haven't had any problems. I have a DMCA takedown thing on the website, so if any companies aren't happy that we have their games, they could always reach out, but no one ever has, so no problems yet.
That's just in your terms of use on
Yes.
the website? Okay. And so because I had the impression that you were kind of just framing in these games. You're actually running these games on your server?
So we originally were just iframing the games, but the problem with that is that if the website you iframe it from is blocked, then it will be blocked on the website. So now all we do is we only add games that we get the code for, and so we are running them on the server, yes.
Okay. Now you keep saying we. So how many employees do you have?
So originally, it's kind of like a longer story than that. But when we first after TikTok went or got started, the first one that blew up and got 1 million views, it was right before winter break. And I told 2 of my friends that are also programmers about it, and they wanted to help out with the website. So we spent that winter break developing it. This was like a year after I had already started, which was in 8th grade. This was 9th grade in winter break in like December or February, one of those. And so we worked on it a lot. And at the end of that week, we weren't monetized yet. So there was no like incentive for money. But one of my friends who helped, he was concerned about college problems. His name's Henry. Shout out to Henry. He stopped working on the site. But he did leave a good impact. We still use some of the code he wrote, I think, is still in place today. But my other friend who helped out, Elon, shout out to you. He's still working with me on Totally Science. So he does a lot of the development with me, and we've been doing this together for over 1.5 years now.
And it's Elon. He's the CTO listed on
Yes,
on
he
your
is the
website.
CTO.
Okay. And so is he an employee? Is he a business partner? What's that arrangement like?
So we have a revenue share between us.
Okay.
That's how our relationship is.
That's awesome. And do you want to expand it to more employees, or are you happy where it's at?
So the more employees we have, the more people we would need to be paying. So we try to keep it just between us because we really don't need that much more help on the development side unless we want to really expand into all these different ideas, which we have a lot of ideas, like going into different languages and trying to really focus on specific regions. But for now, as the website stands, just maintaining it and keeping it up, it's something where we could just do it ourselves. And we're really going to look into, a turning point that's going to be coming up very soon. There's someone that reached out to me about potentially buying the website. And right now they're doing, they're testing out certain ads and seeing the effect it has on the website. And from there, they're going to see the potential for growth. And so if they make an offer, that's a good offer and I sell, then okay, we're going to sell the website. But if they don't, then we are going to work with this advertising agency that I found on TikTok posting ads, and it was pretty effective marketing finding me, so I think they'll do a good job. And so with them, we're going to try to scale the website a lot more and potentially go into the different regions, like I said, languages, but also with a lot of different features too that we've been thinking about implementing. So we might need another person, another developer for that.
Okay. So you talked about languages. Do you have any language sites right now, or you just
right now?
looking
No.
into it? Okay.
But we're thinking about Spanish and some other popular languages.
Would you just use G-Translate, or what technology would you use?
Probably Google Translate, yes.
Okay.
Or just find a friend that speaks the language.
Yeah, it's really awesome because you're not running on WordPress. Are you running on what content management system are you using, or are you just using Apache servers or?
Well, we just host everything on a VPS, a virtual private server.
Okay.
And so a lot of people for their websites, they'll use frameworks for building it, like React, which is a very popular one. But for us, we just use the very bare bones HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, which is good for speed, but it also makes it a lot slower. If we were to restart the project, slower in terms of development. But if we were to restart, we would definitely do it in a framework. But we've been the code, it's very long now, so to rewrite everything, it probably wouldn't be worth it.
So do you have technical debt with your code?
I guess we do have some that because of how we started out, we could have used a much better principles. We have rewritten all of the code on the back end and the front end already a few times. So maybe we would do it again very soon in the near future. Usually over the summer, we will rewrite a big part of the code.
Okay. So do you ever look at your old code and go, what was I thinking?
Yes. It's a very common thing with programmers.
Okay. Yeah, so I was just going to mention with G-Translate, and I don't know how it would work with your setup, but on WordPress, it's simply a plugin, and I just launched Spanish and French on mmmpod.net just yesterday, basically using G-Translate. I don't know how accurate it is, but I mean, Google Translate's getting better and better.
Yep.
And so it's probably, I would guess 95% accurate. There would just be some terms that might be weird, but that's really cool that you could go into other languages. I know like Mr. Beast launched all these Spanish channels and different languages, and it's just huge opportunity because basically less than 50% of internet users are in the United States. It's a really low number. It used to be super high. I think we're even down as low as like 25% now globally. So opening up other languages will probably drive a lot of traffic.
Yeah, I actually got the idea from watching a podcast with Mr. Beast where he was saying how he made Mr. Beast in Espanol, Mr. Beast in all these other languages. And that's giving so much more viewership to his channel.
Oh, that's great. So speaking of, listening to podcasts and TikToks, you learn some things from TikTok and everything. What's your number one channel to learn things and stay kind of current as, a developer and as a CEO and founder of a website that's monetized?
So recently, something I've been reading a lot is TechCrunch. So I have a membership there, and they have a lot of articles about all the latest stuff in tech, AI, pretty much like all things startups. So it's really cool. I recommend it.
How many 16-year-olds are reading TechCrunch? Just give me a ballpark guess.
I have no idea. I don't know any, but also I don't really have many friends that are into business and this like tech stuff like I am. I have friends that are programmers, but people that are into all this other stuff, I'm trying to find other people. Hopefully that's something out of this podcast. Some like 16-year-olds will reach out to me.
That's awesome. So you said with totally science.co that you potentially someone could buy it and potentially you could just expand it and work with an ad agency and monetize it even better or further or faster or whatever. Which that sounds like a fork in the road. Which road do you feel in your heart of hearts that you want to do?
Honestly, I would want to sell the website if a good price is offered and then focus on other projects. I have a lot of different things that I'm actually working on right now. I'm working on a gym app with one of my friends, the friend that Henry, who originally helped with Totally Science but then left. And I have a lot of different ideas that I want to just go into, and Totally Science, it's good. Right now it's a good source of passive income, but it does require maintenance, adding new games, fixing any problems that come along, and keeping up with the community. So it would be good, especially after this podcast, to just have the Totally Science legacy kind of just go on its own now. But we'll see what happens.
Are there any other projects you're working on besides the gym app?
Well, I just released an app a few weeks ago. It's called Grind Clock. It's a motivational alarm clock app that wakes you up with people like David Goggins screaming at you that you need to go and work. It's an app me and my friend Henry put together in a few weeks, just mostly we saw something on TikTok. We saw a trend. A lot of people were commenting on these motivational video posts. I want to set this as my alarm clock. So we made an app for all these people that were commenting it. And so we got a few thousand downloads from that. And that was okay. But what we really took away was learning how to make these apps in the language Flutter, which it's good for iOS and Android development. And with that, we're going to be building other projects. So it was good to learn the language.
So it was a good project just from a learning standpoint. Did you monetize it? Did you sell it, or did you just make it available for people?
We did monetize it, and we have a membership in it.
Okay. And you put it on the App Store and
And
Google,
Play Store.
so people can go get it. Tell me what it is again.
Yes, it's called Grind Clock. Grind Clock.
Okay.
Yes.
I think I've seen some of the TikToks that might be the inspiration for that because they compile David Goggins and other motivational speakers, and so yeah, that's really cool. So as far as business goes, you have something going on, right? Where you've got requests coming in, you got to fix this, you got to fix that. What are the tools you use to basically project manage Totally Science?
Okay, so we did have a lot of stuff on the website for requests. Like originally we had a report button that was for reporting if a game wasn't working, but we learned very quickly that if a game was just taking long to load, people would click the report button. So that wasn't really effective at all for figuring out problems in games. So currently we have a Discord server, and that's usually what we rely on. They'll usually spam me, and I have some people that are moderating the Discord server. So anyone that has a problem, they'll just start texting in the Discord channel, complaining about the issue, and eventually we will get it fixed for them.
So explain to me, because I'm new to Discord.
Okay.
Just barely got on it like 2 weeks ago. So explain to the audience what Discord is.
Okay, so Discord is it's a communications app where you could join different groups. There's different channels. It's very similar to Slack, if you know what that is. And it's just a very good way to build communities around different things.
And so how does Discord make money?
Discord, I was looking this up before. Okay, Discord actually makes majority of their money from subscriptions. They have a subscription model called Discord Nitro, where people have access to just different features, like sending different emojis, sending longer messages, I guess different perks with channels too. A lot of different ways.
Do you feel like it's a younger generation that's using Discord instead of Slack, or why would someone choose Discord over Slack?
Yeah, I think the younger generation definitely is choosing Discord over Slack. I haven't used Slack. I've used it maybe once. So to know the feature differences, I'm not entirely sure, but Discord was originally based around the gaming community. And so I think that's why it has more of the youth audience, but now it's converting away from only gaming and more into just general communities.
And if I remember correctly, Midjourney's connected to Discord somehow?
Yes, the AI image generation tool. They have a Discord channel that they use it's connected to their API. So if you want to generate images, you go in their Discord channel, you say like / generate unicorn flying on a cloud, and it comes out.
Okay, that's awesome. So I know your mom mentioned to me, and I hate to bring your mom into the podcast because, you know, my son would be embarrassed if I brought his mom into the podcast. But she mentioned to me that you kind of have your finger on the pulse of what the youth want, what kids want. How do you keep your finger on that pulse? What are you doing to keep your finger on that pulse besides being young yourself?
Yes, so being young definitely helps. I'm talking to people that are teenagers. I get the ins and outs of what they want. But something specifically is just being on the social media apps that people my age are using. So Snapchat, it's a very good tool. Just looking at people's Snapchat stories, I get to see what like people are up to my age. But something more specific is actually TikTok. And this is something that I think it's problematic, but it's also something that's helpful. I've always wanted to delete TikTok because I hate the app because of how addictive it is and how much time you could just waste on it. And you don't even remember what you watched. Like YouTube, I'm okay with because you could watch like a 10-minute video. You could watch 3 of those in a row, 30 minutes, but you'll remember what you watched. It was a long form video. But a 30-second TikTok, you could watch hundreds of those in the 30 minutes, probably thousands. And you won't remember, maybe you'll remember one of them at most, but in 2 days' time, you'll forget everything. Nothing is meaningful on it. So the only thing that I still have TikTok for on my phone is to see the trends that are going on, like how I saw in the comment section of one of the videos, of the motivational videos that people wanted an alarm clock out of the motivational content. That's how I got the idea for that. So TikTok, it's a very good way to identify trends in the youth, seeing what people are doing, seeing what people want, just reading the comments there, seeing the videos people are making, especially if you look at the influencers that are making content for people. I think that's one of the best ways to keep up with the youth.
Just to ask your opinion of your generation. What is the opinion of your generation on the older generations, and what's some advice you would give the older generations?
I think that the younger generation is, this is something interesting I heard in a book, that the younger generation will always go against what the older generation is doing in a way that it kind of is a pattern that repeats itself, where the older generation will do something, the younger generation will do the opposite of what the older generation does, and then the generation after the younger generation, they'll do the opposite of what the younger generation does, which will be what the older generation originally did. So it kind of is a cycle going back and forth. And I think it's just something like people like to rebel against their parents. People like to prove them wrong. Like right now with the youth, a lot of parents, they're pushing their kids towards stuff like college, saying this is the only way you can be successful in the world. You have to go get a stable job. But especially with the internet, a lot of kids now, they're trying to make internet money, trying to get rich off social media, doing things on that. Just influencers, they show you that you can make a very good living, a fortune from doing it. Just posting dances on TikTok, people are just these like kids making millions of dollars. So I think that's something that people are they're very skeptical of the older generation's ways of just work hard, go through the path of college that's laid out for you, go get a job, work your way up the ranks and make a good living.
That's exactly what I've done. So thank you for thank you for the advice. And I'm seeing that a lot. I've interviewed a lot of entrepreneurs on the podcast, actually, who, one of them specifically, who had an MBA, basically said, doing the work, that project that's right in front of you and starting a business is the best way to learn how to run a business, not an MBA. And even he's telling his kids, you can learn on YouTube, you can learn these different ways. And he's not like advising them to go to the traditional path through college. So with that said, and with you learning on YouTube, and you're already a CEO and founder of a successful website, what are your plans as far as college goes? Because I know you're taking AP classes, you're doing extremely well in school. What are your plans in the future for college?
For the longest time, I've been totally against college. I still am against it. I don't like the idea that people push you down this path with no other way. Like there's always these motivational quotes like pave your own path, go your own way. Like if everyone goes the same way, the person that goes a different way, that's the person that's probably going to be more successful. As long as they make it through, it's going to be the harder path, but if they can get through it, they will likely be more successful. So college, I think, is taking the path that everyone is going. You're not swimming against the tide, you're swimming with it. However, the one thing I do see in college that's good, I don't believe the education there is going to be that helpful, because like we were discussing, YouTube, you could learn a lot just online on the internet. I think that's the best educational resource, especially colleges are posting a lot of their courses. MIT, all of their courses are online. I could take any of those right now and learn anything from MIT, one of the best colleges. So the one thing that I think makes college valuable is the connections you can make there. And so that's why I do want to go to a business school and make a lot of connections there that I could use in the future, maybe go into business with someone I meet there. But I do think I might drop out of college after a couple of years. But college is honestly my plan B for what I want to do. My first choice is the Peter Thiel Foundation, which is created by Peter Thiel, the co-founder of PayPal and some other projects. He founded this foundation where anyone who hasn't graduated from college can apply with an idea, and they grant you $100,000 and give you a bunch of different connections. Everyone else that signed up, you get to meet them. So I would make connections of my age and make connections with people well established in business already to get advice from. and they help you start a business with whatever idea you have. So that would be ideal. That's my plan A if I could get accepted there. But the acceptance rate is like 0.001 or something.
All right. Good luck with that. That sounds awesome. I haven't heard about that before. So thanks for mentioning that. So Zach, did your parents go to college?
My parents did go to college.
Okay. And is there anyone in your family who's an entrepreneur?
Both of my parents are entrepreneurs. They both own their own businesses. My dad started his, it's called PhiSolve. He started it over a year ago now. And my mom started her company a few years ago. It was called Mama Work. Now it's called Village. And they're both just doing their own things. I think my mom is doing something more where I am because hers is a tech platform and she is always doing things like looking for investors and watching Y Combinator, which is something I've been watching a lot on YouTube and learning from. And my dad, he's just used all the years he had in his space. He was working for a different company for over 10 years. And so he used everything he learned there to start his own company. So he didn't take the traditional startup route just with an idea. He pretty much just jumped right into like success after all his years because of all the connections he built up over time in his industry.
That's really cool. So do you feel like your parents being entrepreneurs that inspired you to be an entrepreneur?
I actually wanted to be an entrepreneur before my parents ever started their businesses. As long as I can remember, I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I think it started from when I wanted to make money from making games. I think being a game developer, that was my first goal of why I wanted to be an entrepreneur, just making games, because I was like, every kid's dream is just to, I think a lot of kids just want to be rich. So that was my dream too as a kid. But I thought the way I could do that was by making games. So that's entrepreneurial.
Yes, it is. So when you started Totally Science in 8th grade and you weren't initially monetizing it, what was your motivation to start it?
My motivation to start it was just to be popular in my school, just having the website be something used by everyone in my school. So, yeah.
And how did that work out then for you?
It worked out well. I actually, after it was spread through my school, I put my name at the top corner of the website. It said a Zach Yadegari production. So I had some people coming up to me saying, like, thanks for making the website.
That's awesome. And it's in the footer right now.
Yeah, now it's in the footer of the website.
Yeah, that's really cool. So anything else besides money and fame that's come your way? Have you met some interesting people? What's happened because of the success of the site?
Something pretty cool. Are you familiar with Cool Math Games?
I've heard of it before.
It was around since the 1900s. It was one of the first websites on the internet. It's also a games website, and it is also like a popular unblocked games website. I don't know if that was their original intention to be unblocked games or not, but it turned out to be that way, and it's called Cool Math Games. So just like Totally Science, it does bypass a lot of blocking systems because it thinks it's educational. But I was able to meet the CEO of that website, and it's a very big website. They're making millions of dollars every year, and it's very, very popular. They get tens of millions of different users every year using the website, probably more, maybe hundreds of millions. I don't even know. But it was really cool just meeting the CEO of that website, talking to him about our websites, different ways, like asking him questions about how he's doing things, getting feedback on my site. That was pretty cool.
How did you meet him then?
I reached out to him through email. I just wanted to see if there was some kind of partnership originally we could do with our websites. Honestly, wasn't really expecting a reply from them. I was reaching out to some other Unblocked Games websites too, and surprisingly the smaller ones didn't respond, but the biggest one I reached out to did respond. So that was pretty surprising, but it worked out well.
That's really cool. I've found in life that people who've done it, who've actually had success and actually done the work, are actually more helpful, and the people who haven't done it are usually the naysayers. You know what I mean? People that haven't put the work in, they're usually jealous, those kinds of things. So that's really that's really awesome that Cool Math Games, the CEO, connected with you. I think I've gone through most of the things I wanted to talk about. One of the things I wanted to ask is just traffic sources. Is it mostly organic, or do you have other places like TikTok or whatever? What's the majority of traffic to your website? What's the source of that?
So I've tried a lot of different ways to drive traffic, like just Google ads, making it so that when people look up Unblocked Games, it's one of the sponsored things that come up. But always the top thing was organic TikTok videos. Those drive the original traffic to the site, like those viral videos. And then having those people there, once a few people have it in a school, just like in my school, it spreads like wildfire to the other students. They'll see someone will just be playing a game in class, and then the kid behind them sees their screen. They see it says Totally Science. I have the name Totally Science. It's printed in the top of the website purposefully so that people will see it. And then someone next to them might see, oh, Totally Science. What's that? They're playing games. Okay. Then they go on it on their computer. And so it spreads really fast in a school. So getting an original, just one like person in every school just from the organic TikTok videos, and then from there it spreads organically to everyone else in the district.
What would you say to the maybe older generations that are scared of TikTok? Like, I know there's marketing people that, don't go on there or don't think that it's a good source of traffic or a good thing to do.
Well, TikTok, I would say, is the best way to market anything into any age group. TikTok has over 1 billion users on it. So if you have 1 out of 7 people in the entire world on it, you're going to have a very diverse group of people. It's not just kids, what a lot of people think, but it's also adults, old people. So basically anything or anyone that you want to market to, you could use TikTok for.
I agree. I wanted to hear it from you, though. This gives me some ammunition for certain people that are kind of against TikTok. So just looking at your site, just real quickly, you have games, you have leaderboard. What is leaderboard? On your website?
So that shows all the high scores, who has the high score in each game.
Okay, and then proxy.
Proxy, so that is our way of allowing kids to use YouTube or other websites unblocked in school, so they could come on our website and play our games, but they could also use our proxy feature where they can browse the internet freely.
Awesome. And then you have a quick key or something to go back to classroom.
Yeah, so if your teacher's coming, you could click the tilde button on your keyboard and it will bring up Google Classroom.
Okay, and then you have some settings that
you could change.
Like you could change to what you
you could change it to your school's website for whatever it is.
Okay. Do you worry about competitors at all?
So I don't really worry about competitors because there are a few different big websites in the unblocked game space, one of which it's a website that I'm currently working out with me and Elon, or my partner in Totally Science that I said. We are working with these guys who started a different unblocked games website of a similar size and joining forces to create a new one together. So I wouldn't say they're competitors now. They're more like friends. And since we're working together on a project, I think it's going to benefit both of us. And it's a pretty big space out there. So I wouldn't say competition is really a problem because what usually happens if one unblocked games website gets blocked, they'll go to the other one. So it's usually not competing over either playing one or the other, and both are unblocked. Usually one will be blocked and they'll just go to whatever one isn't blocked. So together we're just, I guess, working to free the internet and unblock all the websites.
Right. So it's more collaboration then. That's great. So do you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert?
I consider myself a natural born introvert, but I'm trying to become more extroverted.
That's awesome. Being on this podcast is one thing you're doing to be extroverted, I think. What's your superpower?
My superpower, that's an interesting question. I think my superpower is probably my focus and my drive. If I want to do something, then I will really focus and spend all of the time I can put to it just trying to accomplish what I want to do. like with Totally Science, at one point, because there was a competitor actually that at one point was driving me to try to make the website really good. And now they're a fraction of what Totally Science is. But what I was doing just every day after school, I would just work the whole night into the night. I would work really late and be really tired the next day in school. But just basically all my free time, I would be working on it. And in school too, in the classes that I'm just like listening to lectures of teachers, I'll be working on the site too. Different stuff just in life. This gym app and the grind clock app that I was working on, we got it done so quick because we were just developing it all day. We'd spend like 6 hours a day just spending all our nights just working on the app. So it's pretty crazy to, I guess, work this much, but I enjoy it. I think it's fun.
I think that's an incredible superpower to have. What's something that most people don't know about you?
Anything I do with business, most people don't know, and I don't really talk about it with people that much. So, like this podcast, no one knows I'm going on it today except my mom.
So, is there any worry about Totally Science getting blocked if you are promoting it?
Well, Totally Science has gotten blocked with a lot of different big companies like GoGuardian. It's one of the biggest blockers, and it's on their global blacklist. So I guess one thing that's like cool to say that we got picked up by this big company and how they globally have blacklisted us. But yeah, going public and talking about this, I don't really think it's a big deal because the only people that really block the website are the school's admin, who are, I guess, the tech people of the school. And they would only really block the websites that they notice their students are using the most. And Totally Science has gotten blocked a lot in different schools. That's a big thing, especially on TikTok. I notice a lot of people, instead of commenting to add more games, now they're commenting like the website's blocked, make new links. So that's what we have done. We've made different links that you could access the website on to get around that. And we just constantly adapt different strategies to try to keep it unblocked.
That's really cool. So I have a lightning round of questions and then one last question before we end. So favorite candy bar?
My favorite candy bar is it's very recently the Mr. Beast chocolate bar.
Okay. Favorite musical artist?
I'm going to have to say probably Billy Joel.
That's incredible. Is that based on your parents playing Billy Joel for you, or how did you find Billy Joel?
Yeah, my dad showed me Billy Joel, I guess, when I was young, but a lot of his music that I like, I just found just on Spotify. I really like music. I listen to a lot of different stuff.
That's really cool. He's a New Yorker too, right, Billy Joel? Okay. Favorite cereal?
Favorite cereal? It's the one with the marshmallows and the squares. I don't know what it's
Is
called.
it Lucky Charms? Or?
Yeah, Lucky Charms.
Okay.
But my mom, she never buys that cereal, so I don't know what it's called. Whenever I go on vacations, like at a buffet, I'll always get that one.
Nice. Mac or PC?
PC.
Google or Microsoft?
Google.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Phantom or Les Mis?
I don't know any of those.
Okay. That's awesome. That's exactly what my son would say. Don't do musicals. Okay. What's the book that you recommend the most to people?
The book that I recommend the most to people is the book 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. It's a book that I read this summer and then I reread it again just last week. I finished it. And it's all about startups. It's very good. It's very interesting.
All right. Well, thank you, Zach, for being on the podcast. And thanks to your mom, Debbie, for setting this episode up. I really hope that it inspires anyone of any age to learn how to code or to go into business for themselves. And I hope it inspires young people really to start their own businesses, because we need more of that, especially here in the United States. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, Prime's good. I like Prime.
Okay, cool. It's the first time I had it here in New York City. Awesome. Okay.
Also, it's 300,000 monthly users on average.
What did I say?
3,000.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to just put the word 1,000 after 300 instead of the zeros. That's amazing.